Hey, hey, land of YouTube, it is great to be with you. I'm so excited to be here and hope you'll share this message with a friend. Today we're going to be talking about emotions and the high rise of emotion. And I'm trying to share this to Facebook now, and I'm multitasking, so I am happy that's out of the way. So now I'll say, hey, 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 hey. It's great to be with you today. Let me just move this blanket and this one out of the way. It's been a hot minute since I last came to you live. My grandpa had a heart attack actually last week, and he's doing well. So, thank you to everyone who has sent him blessings and prayers and wishes. So, he should be coming home this week, which is wonderful, and I'm super excited. So, I appreciate all the prayers and ask that if you haven't sent him prayers, please continue to, and also see how it comes back to you and those that you love, because we are truly all one. This week, what I wanted to do was actually touch on the fact that safety is the chapter we are on within Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. So I'm going to honor the fact that we oftentimes feel like safety is the goal, when what we must truly remember if we are to become more whole is that our emotions are way showers for the energies in motion that are needing to move in the moment. And what we end up finding is that the reason we get so triggered in a moment is because we get hit with all of the emotions that we've previously suppressed, repressed, depressed, compressed, or tried to deny and pretend don't exist. So all of that shows up in the now moment where we say, oh my God, I'm so angry, or I'm so whatever emotion it is. What I've really come to understand within the high rise of emotional awareness that I am excited to share with you in the chapter we will review together from Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of NOW, is that taking Abraham Esther Hicks's emotional guidance system and applying it to the theory of a high rise is where the emotional high rise of awareness came from. But now we have to see how the tipping point between boredom downwards, which is the depression or the depressed spiral of emotions, compared to contentment upwards, which I actually refer to as states of being. Because when we are actually being present, we have power, compared to when we're bored and then we're looking elsewhere and we let our mind wander and then go into all kinds of side trails and tracks. That is where we lose our power of presence, because we're in a not now moment of the past or the future. But ultimately, when we call our power back, we can be in the present, the present now moment. And that's where we're able to actually respond instead of react. So being very clear as to whether we are adding an energy of the E for create compared to react, and see how that's going to serve us, and then place it respectively within the high rise of emotional awareness, which is what we're going to get into. First, I want to just share a piece of recovering a sense of safety on shadow artists. One of our chief needs as creative beings is support. Unfortunately, this can be hard to come by. Ideally, we would be nurtured and encouraged first by our nuclear family, and then by ever widening circles of friends, teachers, well wishers. As young artists, we need and want to be acknowledged for our attempts and efforts, as well as for our achievements and triumphs. Unfortunately, many artists never receive this critical early encouragement. As a result, they may not know they are artists at all. And what's interesting is in the fourth stage, I forget who by, that is a book title, but he talks about the different sequiums, which are 20-year gaps where we are each in our class, so to speak, of development. And artists are actually the children that were born, I believe it was 2008 onwards. So all of these children are actually artists that are requiring us help them to actually bring out that inherent creativity that is within them and needing to be expressed, or it will be impressed, and that will take them out of the now moment where their power exists into a not now moment, which is where our emotional dysfunctions come into place. Parents seldom respond, try it and see what happens, to artistic urges issuing from their offspring. They offer cautionary advice where support might be more to the point. Timid young artists, adding parental fears to their own, often give up their sunny dreams of artistic careers, settling into the twilight world of could have beens and regrets. There, caught between the dream of action and the fear of shadow, or the fear of failure, shadow artists are born. I am thinking here of Edwin, a miserable millionaire trader whose joy in life comes from his art collection. Strongly gifted in the visual arts, he was urged as a child to go into finance. His father bought him a seat on the stock exchange for his 21st birthday. He has been a trader ever since. Now in his mid 30s, he is very rich and very poor. Money cannot buy him creative fulfillment. Surrounding himself with artists and artifacts, he is like the child with his nose pressed to the candy store window. He would love to be more creative, but believes this is the prerogative of others, nothing he can aspire to for himself. A generous man, he recently gifted an artist with a year's living expenses so she could pursue her dreams. Raised to believe that the term artist could not apply to him, he cannot make that same gift for himself. Edwin's is not an isolated case. All too often, the artistic urges of the artist child are ignored or suppressed. Often, with the best intentions, parents try to foster a different, more sensible self for the child. Stop daydreaming is one frequently heard admonition. You'll never amount to anything if you keep on with your head in the clouds is another. Baby artists are encouraged. Baby artists are urged to think and act like baby doctors or lawyers. A rare family, faced with the myth of the starving artist, tells its children to go right ahead and try for a career in the arts. Instead, if encouraged at all, the children are urged into thinking of the arts as hobbies, creative fluff around the edges of real life. For many families, a career in the arts exists outside of their social and economic reality. Art won't pay the electric bill. As a result, if the child is encouraged to consider art in job terms at all, he or she must consider it sensibly. Erin, a gifted children's therapist, was in her mid-30s before she began experiencing a haunting dissatisfaction in her work. Unsure what direction to take, she began adapting a children's book for the screen. Midway through the adaptation, she suddenly had a telling dream about abandoning her own artist child. Prior to becoming a therapist, she had been a gifted art student. For 2 decades, she had suppressed her creative urges, pouring all of her creativity into helping others. Now, nearly 40, she found herself longing to help herself. Erin's story is all too common. Fledgling artists may be encouraged to be art teachers or to specialize in crafts with the handicapped. Young artists may be pushed toward lawyering, a talky, wordy profession, or into medical school because they're so smart. And so the child who is himself a born storyteller may be converted into a gifted therapist who gets his story secondhand. Too intimidated to become artists themselves, very often too low in self-worth to even recognize they have an artistic dream, these people become shadow artists instead. Artists themselves, but ignorant of their true identity. Shadow artists are to be found shadowing declared artists. Unable to recognize that they themselves may possess the creativity they so admire, they often date or marry people who actively pursue the art career they themselves secretly long for. I am going to actually let you carry on and will in the blog that I write this afternoon on the artist's way and the theme of safety, which is the chapter I was just pulling from. You can get that at ljeh.ca later this afternoon or tomorrow, as I will be going in to see Papa later on. And so I wanted to just read that because so many of us do have suppressed artists within us, and we have to start recognizing how our emotions have been weaponized against us. Because it is when we are willing to own our emotions that we are able to actually create inner security rather than insecurity, which doesn't feel safe or secure if we don't know who we are and we think we need to be something other than we are and put our power outside of ourselves, like the recommendation to become a lawyer or a doctor, which is the indoctrination. We're indoctrination, where we are putting our power outside of ourselves, thinking that is going to make us better because our status will be higher. But what if we actually got back to the fact that as women and men in this world, we stand on common ground, which is the common law, which is the unwritten law, that lawyers cannot play in because they have no standing in a matter between a man and woman, or a woman and woman, or a man and man. We have to get back to the basics, which is the fact that who we are is enough, regardless of the suits, which are the statuses, titles, or personages people put on to make themselves seem to be more or less, and then deem others to be likewise, when the truth is we are enough as we are. We just have to get back to that and then stand on the claims we make as men and women. And then move forward so that if anyone is causing harm, loss, or fraud against us, the man, well, the woman, or the man who is standing on the claims that we have made via lawful notice, that a lawyer cannot respond to because they have no standing in a matter they can only status in, that is where we actually turn the ship around, as I've said in Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of NOW, which is what I want to start reading to you now. I'm going to have a drink of my coffee, and I'm going to encourage you to grab a beverage or brew of your own, because we are going to now be working through the emotional high rise of awareness. I have not yet actually read any of these chapters aloud, but this one is a longer one, so it probably will take maybe half an hour to get through. So I would love for you to be able to be here with me. And please do leave a comment to let me know how this resonates for you as we go along. Because what we must see is how the heart is actually what births our desires. De is of, and then sire is to give birth to. So what your heart is able to feel and then manifest, that is what you will get to experience, because you are a radio transmitter, as am I. And we are constantly sending out the signals to the grand overall designer, creator of all that is, all being, not excluding anything. Therefore, the energy of all then sends cooperative parts back to us in the people, places, and things that will ultimately help us experience the desires we have sent forth, which is why it is so essential we stop placing our attention on the things that we do not wish for. Contrast is only meant to help us gain clarity as to what we do want instead. So instead of being anti anything, we have to say, anti this. Okay, that taught me I want this instead. This is where I will focus my energy. As I say in Fully Committed, that is the reason that I declined going to the rally where my person was issued a summons for an implied charge I've never consented to and have a trial for on October 31st. I do not believe I did anything wrong. I have claimed the rights that I did nothing wrong, and I am standing on those claims and will take it to the highest court, which is the Supreme Court. And ultimately, I will continue to stand as the woman that I am, and any man or woman that is causing me harm, loss, and participating in fraud by moving forward an allegation that has no feet to stand on, they are going to be the ones that pay, even though they work for the corpse, which does not have an extra E until we see how the energy that they give it is what they will pay for, because a corpse cannot pay with blood and flesh. It is the man and woman working for the corpse that pays through karma. And also, when we actually remember who and whose we are, that is when then we stop seeing ourselves to be a person, which is only a status, and to say, no, I am a woman that has a person. And instead of living in the land of liabilities, or the seas of liabilities in the admiralty and maritime laws, which is just one jurisdiction within the land, air, and water of law, I say, I'm going to stay in the land of benefits. Thank you very much. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same, which is what we're going to get into deeper as we move through. But first, I need to finish reviewing the manuscript that is going to be submitted today as a final. This is the final proof that we are reading now together. I was doing it on my own and I was just feeling, I'm going to finally share a piece of it, which you'll be able to soon purchase through Balboa Press. And I will be sharing more details soon around all of that. But we're going to just get straight into it. So I appreciate you for showing up today. And I hope you enjoy Toxic Loads, Colors of Right, and the High Rise of Emotional Awareness. This is chapter 21 out of 28 with an epilogue and intro in Fully Committed. So here we go. Our soul's journey only ends when the spark leaves our eyes because we have fragmented ourselves too much to stay present in the vessel our soul came to planet Earth in. The more environmental toxins and pollutants we take into our bodies, the less functional we are and the poorer our health and magnetic potential will be. Health is wealth because without it we can't enjoy what riches we accrue, nor can we stay focused on our desires if pain is in the way. So becoming more able to respond, responsible stewards of our energetic resources matters in this life. While living in England, I worked as an independent organic skincare consultant with the home division of Neal's Yard Remedies for a time and absolutely loved it. I took as many trainings as I could attend and even managed to win an incentive trip to Rhode Island and Dallas my first year with the company,